Hey guys, it is Jill Coleman here with Metabolic Effect and with Jill Fit Physiques. I'm really excited to be bringing you my favorite 10 fat loss tips for women. So I'm going to get right into my list. These are top 10, not in any specific order, just things that, as women we should be doing regularly if we really want to increase our fat loss results. So first, number one, ladies, lift heavy weights, okay? A lot of times we get scared of lifting heavy weights and we think it's going to make us bulky or we're going to put on size. The only difference between bulking and toning is your diet. So I get a lot of clients who come to me and say, Jill, I just really want to tone up. I don't want to get big. I put on weight really quickly. I put on muscle really quickly. You will not put on lots and lots of bulk by lifting heavy weights. You have got to control your diet. And really the biggest thing is your nutrition and doing intense weight training and also getting a good cardio effect off of your weight training workout. And what I mean by that is moving quickly through your exercises so that you get that cardio effect and you don't have time for that long rest. And that's really going to be what might put on size, is that more powerlifting strength protocol. What we're talking about is circuit weight training with heavy weights done to failure, big body movements like squats, lunges, chest presses, pull-ups, shoulder presses, things like that get a lot of muscles involved that are really going to ramp up your metabolism. So you will not bulk up, but you have got to lift those heavy weights if you want to shed fat, number one. Number two, a healthy diet is not the same as a fat loss diet. So I see a lot of clients who come to me and they say, um, I eat really healthy, Jill. I don't know what's wrong with my diet. I'm always eating healthy. What's the deal? A lot of times, healthy foods are not the same as what is going to shed fat. So, some examples would be things like grains. So, refined grains as well as whole grains sometimes can keep people from shedding fat. Are they healthy? Yes, of course. They have high fiber, vitamins, and minerals, but their sugar content is too high to really justify the fiber that you're getting. So what would be a better choice? Fruits and vegetables are definitely going to be better. Other foods would be like nuts. They're great, very healthy foods, but they do pack a ton of calories and a ton of fat. Fruits that have a high glycemic index, like watermelon, um, pineapple, bananas, things like that, they're great foods, very healthy foods, good minerals, but they might blunt that fat burning effect. So definitely doing low GI fruits is going to be better. For some people, dairy can be an issue. So you really need to know your body and know what for you is going to be that food that, healthy food, but not a fat loss food. So there's definitely a distinction there. And you definitely want to learn what your body responds to. For example, me, when I have a lot of nuts, I blunt my fat loss. So it's not that I put on a lot of weight, but I definitely stall my fat loss efforts if I'm doing a lot of nuts and nut butters and things like that. So you just need to be in tune with what might be for you something that might, not help you in your fat loss direction. Customize your approach, my number three. Customize your approach. This kind of goes to number two, which what we were saying about finding your specific female fat loss formula. Okay, so it's totally based on, your body shape, your body structure, your individual sensitivities to food. So, like I said, for example, dairy might be something that you have an issue with. I personally, do well on a low fat, non fat dairy. Other people will really, tend to retain water. It really depends on how your body responds. So everyone has just different sensitivities. Like gluten, just because you might not be allergic to gluten, but you might have a little bit of a sensitivity to it that can keep you from your body change goals. So finding your specific fat loss formula is super important. And how do you do this? You eat foods and then you evaluate how you feel on them. So are you holding water the next day after you eat something? Do you sleep poorly after you eat something? Do your joints ache? Do you feel like you can't lose weight? Do you feel like, are your clothes getting tighter? All of these things, it's really important to be in tune with your body and know, based on a food, how that's affecting your body and your fat loss goals. So really individualize your approach is my number three. My number four fat loss tip is increase foods that help detox estrogen. So for a lot of us women, we tend to store most of our fat in our thighs and in our hips and our glutes. So for us, that's an estrogenic place that we need to, try and lower our estrogen relative to progesterone. So it's not so much the absolute amount of estrogen as it is the ratio of estrogen progesterone that we're looking at. And how do we do that? We can do that by increasing foods that help detox estrogen, like cruciferous vegetables. Green tea is huge. When you have coffee, trying to keep your coffee to an organic blend. Coffee beans are heavily sprayed with pesticides, so pesticides will increase that, limiting exposure to plastic bottles. All of these things alone don't necessarily make a huge difference, but when you incorporate them all at once, you can definitely lower that estrogen progesterone ratio. And so, in effect, you know, lowering that and making it more favorable for fat loss. Also, lifting weight is going to help increase your testosterone. Um, Lowering cortisol helps to bump up your progesterone potentially. So cortisol is a stress hormone, so you want to make sure that you're doing things to lower your stress hormone, which include, eating regularly. If you go for a long time without eating, you're going to be releasing cortisol. Long, slow, boring cardio exercise and aerobics will increase cortisol. So things like that. Also, not sleeping, things like that are going to increase cortisol, which might, in a sense, steal from the progesterone that your body's capable of making. Um, so, cruciferous vegetables are broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, things like that. Really trying to up your greens will help as well. So, thinking about that estrogen progesterone ratio is really important. Okay, are you ready to go on? We're at number 5, and this is one of my biggest things, especially for my clients, is getting enough protein. This is so, so, so important for women. I recommend 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you are a woman who weighs 150 pounds, you should be getting 150 grams of protein a day. What this will do is it will keep you fuller for longer. You guys have heard this before. It helps preserve muscle. So maintaining your muscle is super important for your metabolism. So if you're not giving yourself the amino acids that your body needs to preserve muscle, you're going to be using muscle as energy sometimes when you get that high cortisol release. So you really want to increase your protein, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. To give you an example of how much protein foods have in it, a medium size chicken breast has about 30 grams of protein. A typical scoop of whey protein powder has between 20 and 30 grams of protein. So if you're doing 30 grams and you're eating 5 small meals a day, that's your 150 grams right there. Increasing your metabolism. Also, it takes a lot more calories to break down protein. The thermic effect of eating protein helps bump your calorie burn and adds to that overall caloric expenditure throughout the day. So protein is huge. That's the number 1 nutrient and the first priority at every meal should be protein. Number 6, doing things that really help coax the legs and glutes and thighs into burning fat. Since this is the area that we tend to store as women, we need to get creative with our workouts in terms of trying to coax those muscles out of hiding and burn the fat on top of the muscles. So you've heard that spot reduction is it's impossible. We can't spot reduce. However, what I'm telling you is that if you pay attention to those areas and you stay consistent with your workouts, you can definitely get the results that you're seeking in your glutes, in your, thighs, hips, the whole area. So things would be like changing up your frequency of exercise. So I have my clients who tend to be very estrogenic and hold a lot of fat in their bottom half, really change up their workouts a ton. So maybe for a period of a few months, they do 2 heavy leg workouts a week. And then the next 2 months, they might go to 3 days a week and do moderate weight. And then 2 months later, they go to as many as 6 days a week training legs with just maybe a lighter weight or more moderate weight. So everything from heavy squats using a 10 rep max all the way up to hundreds of body weight lunges. You have got to do things differently to get that area to respond. Switching up your cardio, definitely doing different things on cardio. I'm a huge fan of running the stairs and doing hill sprints doing incline walking, anything that really targets that area is going to be the best. So if you think about doing an incline walk, you are hitting that glute hamstring tie-in the whole time you're doing it. So I'll have my clients get on there for 30 to 45 minutes and jack up the incline all the way up to the top and just stay there for an hour and maybe mix some flat sprints in, but really thinking about how to target that area different ways. And you just can't stay doing one thing. You have got to change it up. So definitely coaxing those legs into responding is huge. Paying attention to that and being consistent. You cannot be skipping workouts. You can't go for weeks without attending to your legs. So keep at it. That's a huge thing. Moving on, we're at number 7. Kind of goes with number 6, which is do intense cardio. Okay, ladies, I know we love to get on the elliptical and read a magazine, or we like to just zone out in a step class, and that's great, and you should do that because from a mental perspective, it's definitely a relief. However, you have got to be doing high intensity interval training exercise at least 2 times a week. So what I'm talking about is sprints where you push and then you rest, and then you push again and then you rest. And how do you do this? You choose a machine that you like. It can be elliptical, the bike, treadmill, whatever you like, stairs. Push to the point where you have to rest, and then bring the level all the way down and rest until you can go again with the exact same intensity. So what we call this at Metabolic Effect is rest-based training. And there's no set time that you push, and there's no set time that you rest. The pushing and the resting is completely done based on your specific, your individual fitness level. So if you have someone who's super fit, maybe an elite athlete, they'll push for maybe up to a minute as hard as they can on, say, an incline treadmill sprint. And then they rest for maybe 20, 30 seconds, and then they can go again with that exact same exertion for a minute. For someone who's less fit, they're going to have to do maybe push for 20 seconds and then rest for a minute or two before they can go again with that same intensity. The whole idea is that rest is the goal, not the pushing. In other words, you push for as long as you can, for as hard as you can. For some people, that might be 10 seconds. Others, it might be a minute. Then you rest until you can go again. So it's not a definitive rest and pushing time. Intense cardio is so important for burning fat. It's so superior for burning fat over the long, boring cardio. So make yourself do it. It doesn't have to be long. In fact, it should be short, because if you think about it from a psychological perspective, the shorter your workout, the more intense you can make it. So if you're like, okay, Jill, I'm going to get on here, I'm going to do this treadmill, I'm going to maybe warm up for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'm just going to jack the incline on the treadmill all the way up, and I'm just going to bring the speed all the way up to the point where, I'm very uncomfortable. I'm breathless, my legs are burning, and I have to stop. You should get to that point where you have got to stop. You cannot go another second at that speed and at that incline. Bring it down, rest it out, and go again. So you do that for 10 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes. You might get 10 intervals, you might get 5 intervals, you might get 20 intervals. It really just depends on you. But the key is to pushing to that breathlessness and pushing to that burning in the legs and getting to the point where you have to rest. Intense cardio, make yourself do it twice a week. It's all about willpower. Getting into the gym, doing the intense cardio twice a week for fat burning is huge. Moving on. Number 8, keep your nutrition clean 90% of the time, okay? And have what we call 10% foods. And what that means is that, 10% of the time you can have what you want. So that might be equivalent to 2 to 3 cheat meals a week, or cheat snacks a week, or cheat treats per week. And have what you really think is worth it to you. So if you're at a party and there's someone brought something and it looks okay and you're just munching on it for the sake of it being right in front of you, think about it consciously. Do I want this? Or do I want to wait for Saturday night and go to my favorite restaurant and have, the best dessert in the world? Really, you want to think about making conscious choices about those 10% foods. Don't just have whatever is put in front of you for the sake of it. Think about, and my husband laughs at me because I actually plan my cheats out weeks in advance. I'm always like, oh, next Saturday I'm going to get, this thing I've been wanting for a month now. So make it something that is totally worth it to you and not just anything, but you have got to have a certain consciousness about your food. I keep my diet 90% clean 100% of the time. And then 10% of the time, I have the things that I've really been missing. So staying conscious about your foods. When you stay clean, that 90%, you can really have whatever it is that you want, whether it's chocolate, peanut butter, burger, fries, pizza, whatever. Have it, savor it, and then you're right back on your clean diet again. So 90% of the time clean, 10% of the time you have the foods that you've really been missing. Alcohol, ladies, I know that we love it. We love our wine. We love our martinis, our mixed drinks. Try to minimize your alcohol intake. This is my number 9. Try to keep it to one night per week and 2 drinks max. And I know that is tough, but for some reason, us women store like crazy when we drink. Sometimes a lot of my clients will have a couple glasses of wine on a Saturday night and literally will hold water all the way until Wednesday. Then they start getting back to the point where they're starting to burn fat on Wednesday, and then it's Saturday already. So they've already wasted all that week trying to get rid of that bulk. And it's not that they're putting on fat, it's just they might be retaining water. Their fat loss efforts might be blunted a little bit. So for some reason, alcohol has an even more potent effect than sugar a lot of times. So once a week, 2 drinks max is really kind of a hard and fast rule. Think about, once again, what it is you really miss: martini, wine, beer, whatever is your thing, and then try and keep it to that. And once again, it's all about willpower. So thinking about, and that's just kind of a hard and fast rule for fat loss, and it really does work. And my final tip is number 10, which kind of goes without saying, but I want to reiterate it here. Do not starve yourself. I think as women, we tend to think, well, if I just cut back on all my calories, or if I just wake up, I'm not that hungry, so I'm just going to drink coffee straight until noon. And look, I definitely do that some days when I'm just feeling like, oh, I had a disgusting meal the night before. I really just, don't want to even eat. I don't even want to think about food. I still feel dinner in my stomach. Now I've kind of trained myself to wake up and just have a clean breakfast. Just get right on the back on the bandwagon, wake up, have a clean breakfast, and eat every 2 to 3 hours something small. So if I am feeling disgusting from a cheat meal or something like that, what I'll do is I'll still have my meals regularly. I'll still have every 2 to 3 hours I'm eating something, but I might not have a big meal. I might just have, a piece of fruit and a couple nuts, or something that's a little bit smaller. However, it's super important to not like just drink away your cravings and do coffee all morning and then do diet sodas all afternoon and things like that. It's just not, in the end, we always end up hungrier. We always end up eating more. We always end up feeling deprived. So really, preemptively eating something is going to help later in the day. So this has been shown in research. People who, restrict food end up eating more, and they end up gaining more weight and things like that. So do not starve yourself. Even if you're feeling disgusting when you're coming off a cheat meal or a big meal the night before, get up, have a small breakfast, get something in you so that you can maintain that every 2 to 3 hours, having something small for the rest of the day. And that will help, really keep your metabolism going. As soon as you stop eating, as soon as you start with those long periods of time with no eating, your body does what? It increases cortisol like crazy. So now it's pulling from muscle, which is going to end up slowing the metabolism, and it's going to make you hungrier later in the day. So really, eating every 2 to 3 hours, super important no matter what. And those are my top 10 tips in a nutshell. I'll give you a quick rundown. Once again, number 1, lift heavy weights. The only difference between bulking and toning is your diet. Number 2, a healthy diet is not necessarily a fat loss diet. Okay, if you're eating healthy foods, you might not be eating the best foods for fat loss. Number 3, customize your approach. Okay, it's all about the female fat loss formula based on your specific sensitivities, tendencies, how food affects you. Everyone is different. Number 4, increase foods that help detox estrogen, like cruciferous vegetables, green tea, things that are really going to affect that estrogen-progesterone ratio. Number 5, getting enough protein. Hard and fast rule: 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Preserve muscle, increase your metabolism. Thermic effect of food is huge. Number 6, change up your weight training on your legs to continue to get them responsive. You have got to coax those legs out of hiding. Um, Change it up, doing different intensities, different durations, different number of times a week, frequency, duration, all that stuff. Number 7, intense cardio, 2 times per week, high intensity interval training, minimum 2 times a week. Number 8, clean nutrition, 90% of the time. Have 10% where you have what you want and make sure it's worth it. Number 9, alcohol, hard and fast rule, 1 time per week, 2 drinks max, if you can. And I know it's tough, but I'm just telling you, it's definitely going to help with your fat loss efforts if you kind of adhere to this hard and fast rule. Number 10, do not starve yourself. Every 2 or 3 hours, small meal. Even if you are feeling disgusting from yesterday or a previous meal, still eat something small. Keep your metabolism going. And in the end, it will really help with your fat loss efforts. So those are my top 10, and I'd love to hear from you guys. I could be reached at my website, which is www.jillfit.com, as well as I'm on Facebook, and I'm also on Twitter at jillfit, and my email address is info@jillfit.com. And if you're in the UK, Metabolic Effect is going to be coming to see you in February for a certification. Hope you guys can make it. And that's it for me. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.